Man, I tell you what, I was cold all day yesterday. Holy cow. Like, I guess not wearing this kind of shirt really makes a huge difference. Like, for reference, this shirt has like a wool lining inside that I wear throughout the winter, obviously. But, man, I didn't think it made that much of a difference. Like, seriously, like, and by the way, that's my low, by the way, I was just really cold all day. Like, I was so cold that the instant I had an opportunity to do it, I immediately, like, went to the nearest hot shower I could find and soaked in there for a good 15, 20 minutes. Like, my feet were like albino white. That's how cold I was. Holy cow. Hopefully I'll be much warmer today. That would be most ideal at the moment. Let's see. My high, and actually my active kindness too, was I was there for my dad yesterday. He's been in Rotary since like 1988, and he received like some kind of lifetime achievement award for being in Rotary. And you know, it was nice to see him. It was nice to get that kind of recognition, that reward. And I actually learned a lot about like, seriously, for the first like 10, 12 years he was in Rotary, he didn't really do anything at all. He just like show up to meetings. In fact, like, there was a 3-year period of time when he did nothing. Like, he didn't even like bother showing, like, he didn't even go anymore. But, you know, he's still in Rotary. He gave it another chance. At one point, he actually was the president of Rotary. I mean, I could have mentioned that myself in these videos, to be sure. But, because I actually remember back when he was president. And I remember how busy he was. Honestly, I didn't really think it was my place to talk about it. And plus, I mean, when you're in Rotary and you're the president for Rotary, you're only like president for like a year. So there really wasn't much point of saying anything about that. So, like, he's been the treasurer, he's been the president. I don't think they have a vice president. I don't think they have that. But he's done a lot. So seeing him win the award, that was pretty cool. But honestly, what was better was the fact that during his speech, he said, you know, he did it because, you know, it felt right to do. It was a nice thing to do for the community. You know, it felt right to help others. I mean, and literally his exact words were, don't get me wrong, winning this award is wonderful and I appreciate it. But the real reward comes from helping others. And I guess I'm more like my dad than, you know, I realized. I mean, you know, I've had people walk up to me personally and say, you know, you're a nice guy, you know, you're real. You know, I've had people say that to me before. And yeah, once in a while, you know, it is nice to hear. But as I've done videos over the years, I've come to realize that, you know, just trying to put a smile on someone's face, I mean, even if I don't know someone watches my videos, and even if I don't know if I make them, even if I don't know that I made them smile, like, the fact that they smile out of these, if someone gets like one like or smile out of what I do, that's good. I'm cool with that. Right, I have a Hot Ones episode to talk about. Again, this is why you save your old phones. Okay, so, actually, do I have Facebook on this phone? No, I don't. Okay, where is it? Here it is. Okay, so, for those of you who don't know, yesterday's episode of Hot Ones guest, the Hot Ones guest for yesterday was Lil Dicky. who has a show called Dave. Obviously, his name is Dave, and Lil Dicky is, is his stage name, his rap name, which, okay. And I knew he had a show on like FX and Hulu and stuff like that. I honestly forgot the name of the show. Like, I knew the show began with the letter D. I thought it was like, but I couldn't remember if it was Dave. So, yeah, that paints a scenario for how much of an impact he's left on me. But, I did learn a lot watching this episode. I really did. Obviously, in his show, Dave, there's music in the show that Lil Dicky himself, wrote, sung, and produced. So he went into the process of like making an album for the show. And like the real question is, what comes first, the show or the song? Like what comes first, chicken and egg, or is it the show or the song? In the case of Dave, the songs came first. And he also talked about how like a reference ends up in a verse. I mean, like, for example, let's say someone references, like, me in a rap video or a rap song. In the case, like, that's what he was, that's what Sean was asking. And it's really not that abstract of a concept. Lil Dicky actually has, like, a Google Doc full of punchlines. And he actually found, a punchline that ended in Hot Ones, because that was actually Sean's question, like, how did Hot Ones end up in one of his songs? And again, he's got like a Google Doc full of, good punchlines. He found that using Hot Ones worked great for the moment in the song that he was currently making. And it worked. So that's really cool. He talked about, how stressful having a cameo can be. Because there have been several instances where legit full episodes have been written for, a guest to have that cameo, and the guest, for whatever reason, didn't show up. In fact, there was one time where, like, he had to rewrite some scripts, because, again, said person didn't show up. There was one story where, like, for one cameo to work, he had to have, like, $20,000 in a backpack. But luckily, the guest who showed up was like, I'll do it for free. So, that's lucky. Almost not 20 grand. Like, and also when it comes to having a cameo, the season varies. Like, season 1 is essentially your proof of concept. Like, if you have a guest arrive on that, said guest should be like, okay, let's see what this is. By like season 3, you kind of expect some bigger names to arrive because your show has only gotten bigger from season to season. To the point where, like, let's say, let's say that for the sake of argument, like, I actually got famous and I actually had guests on my videos. Like, let's say after about a year or so, I'd be like if I became that popular, let's say I asked, LeBron James. If I asked LeBron, I know you've seen my show, I know you've seen my videos, please come on. Please. But again, you do that, years down the line, not in the very beginning, if that makes sense. There was a backstory behind the Somebody Suck Me viral campaign, where, him and Benny Blanco, also Hot Ones, I guess, they called Benny Blanco Buck, and somehow it led to Suck, and they kept saying that for a month, and the word got out, and everybody became famous. They talked about how moments on the show Dave reflected moments in real life. For XXL Freshman, he messed that scene up 25 times, and he eventually got it right. If you actually watch the show, though, you're like, man, he killed it. That's awesome. That's the power of editing. The point is, folks, it's okay to fail. They talk about the coolest way to spend money for a show and also the biggest waste. Here's the thing. They didn't really get into the specifics of what was the coolest spend and the biggest waste of money. It was really more of a lesson in if you have a show, and let's say, like, you're famous enough to get a show, you have to worry about the cost of everything. Like, let's say, for the sake of argument, and your show, you want a dog, right? Like, the dog has to be a trained dog, so you gotta pay for the trained dog. You gotta pay for the trainer of said trained dog. You have to pay for the dog food that the dog eats. You have to pay for, grooming for the dog, if there's grooming for the dog. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. So, he's basically learned ways to be, like, more cost effective when it comes to, what he wants in the scene. I mean, full disclosure, like, I could literally make, like, a scene for a shot in a movie, or a shot or a scene in a movie, using the stuff I have. Like, even that requires some expenses. Like, perhaps maybe it's one of my bigger items I need help moving. Maybe I need to pay for someone for that. Maybe I need to pay for a truck if it's a really big item, like the couch behind me. Maybe, there's also gas involved, to transfer, said items from place to place. Like, there's a lot that goes in. And that doesn't really get talked about much. He talked about how there's always how, like, what's in between comedy rap and regular rap? When, in the grand scheme of things, there really always has been comedy in rap. Like, my favorite rapper of all time is Eminem. And he's done some pretty crazy things that are absolutely funny. So, again, there's always been comedy in rap. And, there's great synergy is what it is. The concept of rap music and comedy as a whole, they really have great synergy with each other. It could be like a diss track, it could be something parody related. The possibilities really can be endless if you know what you're doing. He talked about this one place that doesn't exist anymore, called Frank's Pizza in Cheltenham, called the chicken cheesesteak, where these like big chunks of chicken and like the American cheese they use makes everything glisten. There's great bread for great rolls. Apparently this place doesn't exist anymore, which sad to say. I've definitely seen my fair share of great places go out of business, to be sure. So something as good as a chicken cheesesteak, I can only imagine just how bad that is. Okay, then you get to the Bob. Now, Lil Dicky, he is from Philadelphia. And naturally, there is an abundance of professional athletes who play for anything Philadelphia related. So Sean asked him who his favorite, all-time favorite Philadelphia athlete. And honestly, Lil Dicky just let it fly. He was naming names like Brian Dawkins, Jason Kelsey, and a real surprise, that at least he thought this was a surprise, Donovan McNabb. For those of you who don't know, Donovan McNabb was the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles for like a good 10 years. And in his tenure, they made it to 4 NFC championships. They made it to 1 Super Bowl within those 4 championships. And they could never quite win it. And then Lil Dicky says, I'd rather have like that kind of a run where we're good or always in the conversation for like 10 years than to not be talked about at all. So, yeah, there's got to be some positive there. For the 9th question, they talked about, really, there really wasn't much of a question. Lil Dicky just talked about something called company chicken and company noodles, which is something that his mom makes. And there was one dinner scene that they shot for like 5 hours that serves company chicken and company noodles, and Lil Dicky was just like eating it the entire time. And then he says, like, no joke, I farted and then I shit my pants. That was great. That was funny. And then the last question. What legacy does he want to leave? Well, first and foremost, deep down, he wants to live life where happiness, peace of mind, and satisfaction are not totally intertwined with the success and his output of art. Like, on the surface, like, he is a good, Lil Dicky's a good rapper, no question. But more often than not, I'm sure a lot of people are going to know about Lil Dicky through the show Dave. And make no mistake, he's a good actor too. But people are going to but Lil Dicky was a rapper first. And then he essentially just became an actor, making a show. And he's excelled at being an actor. But as a rapper, he only feels as if he scratched the surface of it. Like, he feels more hunger to be a rapper than ever. And he wants to do more, wants to experiment more. He's hungry. He really wants to better his craft. And you gotta respect the man who wants to do that. Honestly, he wants to be great. He just wants to be great. And he wants people to remember him as someone who really was pretty great. Well, Lil Dicky, I can tell you one thing right now. You definitely left an impact on me. Because, Lil Dicky, I think Lil Dicky's going to watch this at all. Lil Dicky, I think you're awesome. I wish you much success. He's not going to watch any of this. But on the off chance he does, I wish you much success. I hope all is well. May you continue to do well with whatever you do, whether you make your show Dave, or you want to be in movies, or anything that you do. I hope you excel at. Yeah. It was a good episode of Highlands overall. I've got nothing to say here about that. Nothing bad to say. Nothing at all. I hope y'all like this video. If you like, subscribe, keep the channel, follow on social media. As always, I'm very humble in this video for all you guys watching Joe Dream. We have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. And remember, did I forget to do Happy Friday? I did, didn't I? Happy Friday, everyone. And remember, if you guys want to talk, channel, be here to lend me. Back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.